Hi everyone, welcome to the BioEdge. What is the real value of a kidney? Now this may seem surprising, but one of the organs in our body with which we're most familiar, the kidney, has never really been explained in textbooks. We don't really know what kidneys are for. We have a fair idea what many of our other internal organs are for. We know what the liver does. It's mainly a metabolic processor and detoxifier. We have a pretty good idea that the heart pumps blood around the body. The brain, that has a fairly obvious function. And so it goes on. But when it comes to the kidney, what you see written in textbooks just seems a little weak. It just seems like it doesn't add up. They speak about kidneys maintaining a kind of homeostasis in the body, and there's an implication, seldom stated clearly, that the main function of the kidney is to excrete toxins. But the trouble with these explanations is that they don't explain why the kidney is so darn expensive. I mean, the kidney is one of the most expensive organs in the body. Gram for gram, it really chews up energy at a remarkable rate. And that's because it's processing the blood at an extraordinary rate. And what's most surprising about this is that most of the liquid that leaves the blood and enters the kidney tubules just goes straight back into the blood again. There's a tremendous amount of activity in the kidney that costs an awful lot of energy. And the entire blood supply of the human body is being processed by the kidney again and again all through the day. But the amount of excretion that's going on is tiny by comparison. And so 99% of what enters the kidney space actually goes back into the blood, presumably after being processed in some way. And this applies even to the ostensibly excretory products such as urea. Now, urea may just seem to be, waste nitrogen that's been excreted in urine, but there's a lot more to urea than meets the eye because firstly, urea is a lot more expensive to make than other alternative waste forms of nitrogen. Secondly, most of the urea that gets into the kidney is kept there for a little while and then pumped straight back into the blood. That's probably 99% of urea, leaving only a tiny fraction in the urine. And thirdly, and most intriguingly, urea turns out to be much more than a waste product. It's actually an extremely good antioxidant. And so the more you look at the kidney, the more you realize that there's a lot of activity there that has no known agenda. It has no known function. And the fact that urea and uric acid and several other apparently excretory substances or waste substances actually have very good uses as antioxidants gives us a clue that maybe what the main function of the kidney is to be the grand antioxidant organ of the body. Now, we know that antioxidation, or the control of free radicals, is an important thing in an organism that runs on oxygen, because oxygen is like a two-edged sword. It's the way in which we respire and gain power by converting our food into carbon dioxide and water and generating energy in the process. But it's also a great rusting force. Oxygenation and oxidation are really lethal in a sense that they break down organic molecules. They cause unraveling of electrons through free radical activity. And in a sense, they kind of rust our bodies and ultimately kill us. And so as aerobic organisms, we need to walk that fine line between enough oxygenation to respire and so much oxygenation that it actually rusts us and corrupts our bodies. And it could be that agenda, that task is big enough that it requires this really active paired organ, the kidney, to do a balancing act of mixing and matching all the different oxidant and antioxidant substances in the body on a continual basis in a space, the kidney tubule, which is free of oxygen. Because bear in mind that the oxygen in the blood is carried on the red blood cells, and those blood cells are excluded by the filtration system in which filtrate is produced in the kidney. And so what you have in the kidney is not just a place to get rid of toxic substances in the urine. It's also a precious oxygen-free space in which the body can continually check, reformulate, repair, mix and match, and do all sorts of other maintenance activities in an oxygen-free space in which its um, uh, free radicals can be regulated and coordinated. And in that sense, it starts to look a bit like the brain of the body in terms of its oxidant antioxidant balance. So that's just a new way of thinking about the kidney, which might be worth investigating, because at the moment nobody seems to have any good hypotheses to explain the sheer energy intensity of the kidney relative to the comparatively trivial output in terms of excretion. And bear in mind also that many of the substances excreted by the kidney in urine can also be quite easily excreted through other organs such as the skin, the intestinal lining, and so on. And so please consider then what is the real value of the kidney, and could it be this grand oxidant, antioxidant balancing organ in the body?